Yep, it's step 3. Okay, the next item on your agenda is House Bill 3282, which is tab 4 in your notebook. Check that. Yep, it is. Chair lays out House Bill 3282. There is a committee substitute in your notebook, members. Chair Gonzalez lays out the committee substitute to House Bill 3282, and Chair recognizes Representative Gaddis to explain his bill, and I'm so glad that you could bring a lot of friends with you today.
Well, I will start out, Madam Chair, with encouraging...
I like when you say that, so, I mean, that's good. Well,
I encourage them, Madam Chair, to be very brief and not to repeat one another. If somebody else has already said what they need to say, they need to say it before the bill.
Yeah, I think that's good, members. What he's saying is as you testify, we'll continue to hear kind of repetitive themes, and succinct is good, and, you know, if you can point out something that maybe we haven't heard, that would be nice too. Representative Gaddis.
Madam Chair, members, the bill that I bring for you today, you probably have received some phone calls, probably has received some emails from both sides of this issue. I will describe this bill as being pro-business and reasonable regulation is what it is. I know that we don't want any more regulation than is necessary on our businesses and on our communities, and I think that this bill strikes a good balance. Over the years, successful businesses have started out of homes, individuals' homes, as small businesses throughout our country. You can look back to Dell Computers, you can look back to Microsoft, you can look back to Apple. You can actually look with regard to this type of issue that we're coming for us today, back to Sandra Dean and even Tiff Streets here in Austin, starting out as a very small business within a home or dorm or something along those lines. Currently, the state prohibits the sale of any food product out of a private home. If it's made in a private home, it is prohibited from being sold. This bill eases that restriction on entrepreneurship by allowing individuals to use their home kitchens and put their expertise to work by registering to sell baked goods like cakes and cookies. This is not going to expand to what we call hazardous food products or potentially hazardous food products. It doesn't expand to breakfast tacos and a lot of those types of things where you can really potentially have some serious consequences to it. What we are talking about is high sugar content baked goods. HB 3282 provides for Health and Human Services Commission to create a registration for cottage food production operations, which is an individual operation out of their home for baked goods, to address the public health concerns. Because I think you're going to have people here to say, hey, you can't do this. There's a huge public health concerns with regard to people operating out of their homes. You don't know what the cleanliness standards are, those types of things. We've done several things. We've asked that there be a registration. Somebody needs to register it in order to do this. They must place and label their product as home produced. They must complete a food handlers program that is certified by the state. So they're going to have some training to make sure that they understand what they are doing. They're going to have to pay a minimal registration fee, and they are going to have to be subject to inspections. If inspections need to happen, if the department believes that they're violating or that there is a problem. We have put into the committee substitute that they can make rules. They can't be so onerous as just to, eliminate this industry, but they can make rules to make sure that the public is taken care of. The goal of this bill is to allow those that want to start a small enterprise out of their home to be able to do so. Especially in our economic times, when we have people that are being laid off in businesses and looking for other opportunities, I think that this is a reasonable regulation on a business that we can potentially grow to be the next great business for our small communities. I think you are going to hear from some people against this bill that are currently in the business, that they don't want this type of competition. They will label it probably most often as a health concern issue, but I think we've addressed those issues with regard to health concerns. This is, I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to be about competition on this issue. 10 other states have actually passed this type of law. Iowa, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Utah, and Virginia have recognized that these are important industries and that we need to look at, how do we encourage this type of thing to occur. You're going to hear from quite a few people, I think. I encourage them to be brief. The only other thing that I would add is, in looking through the committee substitutes, the changes that we've made between the original bill and the committee substitute is that we have talked about training, we talked about a fee, we have allowed rulemaking to adopt minimum standards. We've asked that they not be so onerous, and we've allowed for inspection of the production to be done. So with that, I'll open it up to you.
Yeah, Chairman Carroll has a question.
Diane, when Chuck and I first started running, it was fashionable to have political pie-suppers. When I was a scoutmaster, every now and then Moms would bake cakes, and we'd go down and sell them at Walmart or something like that, raise a little bit of money for the scout troop. These were college industry.
I need you to report to your local district attorney because there were 23 people that died as a result of that.
Absolutely. I'm just asking a simple question of you, and I think this is a reasonably common practice going on in the state. I'm not declaring where I stand on your bill or anything else, but are we talking about any of that whatsoever? If the church decides that
there are certain exceptions in places for nonprofit, bake sale type PTA, those types of things.
That's what I'm asking.
But here's the issue.
Yeah. You don't want people
if we allow it under those circumstances, is there really a health issue? Is there really the health issue or is it a competition issue? That's what it ultimately boils down to. And to be honest, this is going on today. Mm-hmm. There are people that are operating these businesses out of their homes today with no oversight, with no regulation other than, potentially getting caught. What we're asking is, let's bring this industry out of the shadows and, say, you need to get a food handler's license or training. You need to be able to have minimum standards. We need to be able to come in and know who you are to come in and inspect. If you're selling these goods, they need to be labeled as such to say, hey, this is a home produced, so that the buyer understands what they're purchasing.
So you're answering my question, yes. If the local Pentecostal church in Luxon, which is a big church, decides to have a little bazaar or something like that, and folks would come in to do things, and they raise a little bit of money for charity or whatever, that would include these people as well. And I'm just asking a straight-up question. I really am. And the answer to that is yes. And the answer is that I'm not.
And Jim, one of the this was brought to me from a constituent.
Sure.
Over 2 years ago, we've been looking at the issue, and like a lot of issues that get brought to us, that's for. But the more I really started looking at it, it's a pro-business issue. This is, let's have reasonable regulation. And let me tell you my own story real quickly. My mom broke this law the entire time we grew up because she was a professional cake decorator. And she would make wedding cakes for people, and they would pay her for that. She's going to be upset with me for saying this, but, because she was a professional cake decorator, baking in her own home, making these things, that's where I learned my first curse words. And now we know. And the ladies out here that have done this, they understand. When she's in the process of putting all those things together and they don't work out, there's words that
Mrs. Gaddis, if you're watching, I'll try to get him straight on that.
Let me finish the last question I have. I just wrote this down last night. I didn't see any actual penalties in the bill. Kind of tell me how that works. In other words, your mom one more time, and use her as an example, is making wedding cakes and somehow there doesn't get the word that this bill is passed and we don't make an outlaw out of her, obviously, is the health department going to come in and say, you can't make any more cakes, or by golly, that's on the penalties.
And I didn't include them in here because I didn't want to change anything that was currently in law. It would be no different than what they currently can do for you operating, not having license, or operating out of your home. And
so the local health department could come in and any authority they have, they could.
The authorities they have today is not changed by this bill. All this does is bring this industry out of the light with some reasonable regulations on it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Come on back. Let me ask you something. Is it just a don't ask, don't tell process right now?
I think in large respect it is. I think in large respect that's exactly what's going on. That we know. I mean, I know of people in my community right now that are doing this, that it's just they don't, you know, a lot of people don't know that you can't do this.
For example, Lowe's Kate or Jake have a birthday party. I have some constituents. I call them and say, can you make a princess birthday cake for Lois Kate? And they do in their home, and it's beautiful, and they bring it to me. And I pay $25 or $30 for it. They've broken the law, is what you're saying.
If they've offered that for sale, I mean, if they've offered that for sale, I mean, you could, I think there would be all sorts of ways to get around it. I would just like to donate to you, or, you know, it's a love offering type of scenario. You know, maybe there's ways around it. But if they're, you know, if they're doing that for more than you, and they're doing it for other people, in essence, they're in violation of the law.
Okay, lights are clicking everywhere. So I'm going to start with Chairman Zerwas, and we go to Vice Chair Neshek, and then I think we're going to
necessarily the bill is the author. That's called.
Could be. We'd like to think so.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator, for being coming and sharing this time with us. I just want to, the little country area that I represent, like Chairman McReynolds and stuff, a big deal out there is the women create these cakes, these pies, these croissants, you know, I mean, they're you know, got an incredibly high calorie content and everything, but we buy them. And
non-dangerous other than that.
Yeah, non-dangerous other than that. And pay, you know, an enormous amount of money to support a good cause, you know, Meals on Wheels, things, that kind of thing for the senior citizens and so forth. Will this bill impact that, or are they currently violating any kind of laws out there?
And I'll have to go back and look, because there are laws. If they are currently violating a law, they would still be violating that same law, even after this bill passes, unless they register in some form or fashion off for sale. Oftentimes what you're talking about is someone who's baked goods and they're not selling it, but it's a nonprofit or something along those lines that's doing those types of things. And I believe there are some exceptions, and I'll have to go back and look at that on some of those issues. But that really kind of goes back to my point. Those changes, that wouldn't change. That would change.
Nothing changes in this bill versus...
If they're illegal today, they're illegal tomorrow. If they're not illegal today, they're not illegal tomorrow. What this does, though, is it does bring out, you know, kind of that different scenario of somebody that's wanting to start a small business or offer this service on a small scale. You're never going to operate a large-scale operation, full business out of your home in this respect. There's just no way you do it, but it's a way for you to potentially get started in the business.
So potentially then, if somebody wants to do this, you know, if Mother Gaddis decides that she's going to bake and decorate a cake and then donate it to one of these organizations, and that product, that cake is then auctioned off for $700, okay? You don't see that being an issue.
I don't know that is an illegal act today. I don't know that is an illegal act today. I will do some research to find that out for you.
And we're going to have a research with them.
Maybe somebody says that.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think so. I think Vice Chair Neshek and then Representative Keaton.
Any other questions?
Yes, Vice Chair Neshek.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this bill, and it's going to pass, and it's going to help a lot of people. I have a couple of questions related to the authority of the Department of State Health Services regarding, in the unlikely event that there's some type of foodborne illness that breaks out, the authority of the Department of State Health Services to go in and inspect an operation to ensure that everything is safe.
If you look on page 3, I believe beginning on line 13, talks about our local health departments. There's 2 sections there. It says, number 1, local health department may not regulate the production of food at the cottage operation as long as they're in compliance with this operation. However, they may investigate a cottage food production operation as part of investigation into source of foodborne illness outbreaks. So it gives them the ability and the authority to go in and to do an investigation.